Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita. Today we will be studying chapter 10, verses 21 onwards, and we will see how far we can go. These are the indications of Krishna's greatness, how we can perceive Krishna's greatness within this material world. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 text 21 and we will go onwards after that. आदित्यानाम् अहं विष्णुर्ज्योतिषां रविरंशुमान् मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मिन् नक्षत्राणाम् अहं शशि। Adityanam, of the Adityas. Adityas means the sons of Aditi are called Adityas. So that's how the name is derived. Aditi's sons are Adityas. Aham, I am. Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. Jyotisham, of all luminaries. Ravihi, the sun. Amshuman, radiant. Marichi, Marichi. Marutam, of the Maruts. Asmi, I am. Nakshatra of the stars. Aham, I am. Shashi, the moon. Maruts. Marutam means the wind god. Actually, Vayu, Marichi, his name is Marichi. So he has assistants, 49 of them. He and 49 of them. Totally 50. So 50 different kinds of winds are there. The movements of the wind. So anyway, we'll go to the translation and purport. Translation and purport by Zivangre Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon. Purport. There are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal. Among all the luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief. And in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as the glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. There are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity, Marichi, represents Krishna. Among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Krishna. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one, and as by the reflection of the sun the moon illuminates, so also do the stars. Since Bhagavad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns but are similar to the moon. So that's like a big challenge to the scientists now. Of course, they will call us pseudoscience, or you're just saying whatever you want based on some books, on some old fashioned way of seeing things, or you just saw the night sky and then saw all the things, or stars, the moon, everything is together, and then moon is the brightest, and so you just said moon is the brightest and therefore that is the most prominent. And then suddenly that innocent observation you're now thrusting upon us and saying it's a scientific challenge that the moon is one of the stars, or the stars are like the moon and not like the sun. So they will throw all these kinds of things. We will get to that. But first, of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. So here, Adityas, there are 12 Adityas, 12 sons of Aditi. So Kashyapa Muni had 13 wives. Aditi and Diti, all of them are sisters actually, Daksha's daughters. And Aditi and Diti are the most prominent of his wives. And Aditi's sons happen to became the demigods. And the Diti's sons became Daityas. Aditi's sons are Adityas, Diti's sons are Daityas. So Daityas became all the demons. So I actually noted down. Let me see. Yes, the names of the 12 Adityas. Second wife, Aditi. 12 are Amshuman, Aryaman, Indra, Tvashta, Dhatu, Parjanya, Pusha, Bhaga, Mitra, Varuna, Vivaswan, and Vishnu. And this Vishnu means Vamana. Another name of Vamanadev is Upendra. It means the younger brother of Indra. Because if you have noticed, the 12 names, Indra is one of them. And because Vamanadev took birth after Indra, he is also called Upendra, younger brother of Indra. Although Vamana took birth last, still, of all the Adityas, Vishnu is the supreme. So it doesn't matter where Krishna takes birth and how he takes birth, whether he's younger or elder. Usually, elder is more superior according to respect, according to, what is it called? Heritage, not heritage, what is it? Inheritance. The firstborn gets gets the preference, and even the kings. Usually, the eldest son became the king. So usually, the eldest one will be the most prominent. But it doesn't matter where Krishna takes birth, but he is the most prominent always. So for all the Adityas, Krishna says, I am Vishnu or Vamana. And we know Vamanadev, he cheated Bali Maharaj, and he asked for 3 paces of land, and he took the whole universe from him in 2 steps. And in the second step, he put his leg in the sky and he made a hole in the universal covering, and the Ganga water, the water from the Karanodaka ocean, dripped into the universe, and that is called Ganga. And that Ganga's force was so high that the whole universe would have been dissolved. But Lord Shiva took the force upon his head, and that's why you will see, the Ganga. Ganga Taranga Ramaniya Jatakalapam. Lord Shiva, Shankaracharya wrote the song, Ganga Taranga Ramaniya Jatakalapam. So Ganga, the Lord Shiva's head, you will see Ganga, but it's not like a fountain, the water coming out from his head. No, water is falling from the spiritual sky, and then it's bouncing off his head. He is taking the brute force of that descent of Ganga, and then the Ganga flows like a river in all the planetary systems of the universe. And this is not known to the scientists and geography experts of this earth, that this river, Ganga, is not an ordinary river. It is coming, the water is from the spiritual world, and it is flowing through all the planetary systems and coming through the heavenly planets, coming to earth and going down to the hellish worlds. It's a colossal river, literally. Um, but the way it comes from the heavenly planets, we cannot see the descent, how it happens. But it is said that, of course, Gangotri, Yamunotri, the places are there in the Himalayas, the source of Ganga. Gangotri, it is actually Ganga Uttari. Uttari means descent, the place of from where Ganga descends. But there, actually, it is said that the demigods, invisibly, they come with huge aircrafts full of water, carrying the river, the Ganga water. It's called Mandakini in the heavenly planets, Ganga on the earth, and Bhogavati in the um, lower planetary systems. So, in this way, it goes all the way. Now, that is Vamanadev. So, Urukrama, his another name is Urukrama. He does activities which are not possible by any others. That is Urukrama. Great activities. Jayatya Jasram. What is that verse? Brahma Samhita. Yeah. आनन्दचिन्मयरसात्मतया मनःसु यः प्राणिनां प्रतिफलं स्मरतामुपेत्य लीलायितेन भुवनानि जयत्यजस्रं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world. That is the meaning. Jayatya Jasram means whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane. So his pastimes are always triumphant. Triumphant means always victorious. Whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes, being reflected in the mind of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. So he not only performs the pastimes, but also those pastimes are reflected in the minds of the pure devotees. So those pastimes are always playing Nitya Lila in their minds, in their hearts. So Jayati Sasram, Urukrama. So of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. So this is what we are trying to ingrain in our understanding. We have forgotten this fact that Krishna is the primary source of everything, and he is the primary enjoyer of everything. So, um, if you see the Arati ceremony that is being performed for Krishna, we offer the light, the Deepa. So, there is a mantra that is chanted when we offer the Deepa. So, every article that we offer in the Arati and in the Upachara means in the worship of the Lord, there are many articles that are offered to the Lord. And in the Arati, we can see Deepa is also, the Deepa is one of the main ingredient, the light. So, there is a mantra that we chant. स्वप्रकाशो महातेज सर्वतस्तिमिर अपः स बाह्याभ्यंतर ज्योतिर्दीपोयम प्रतिगृह्यताम. This is a beautiful prayer. What is that? Swaprakasho mahatejah sarvatas timirapaha. What does that mean? By his own effulgence, the Lord removes darkness everywhere. Hmm? Swaprakasho means one's own effulgence. Mahateja, it is unlimited effulgence. Um, Sarvatas timira, timira means darkness. Sarvataha means everywhere. Apahaha means he destroys the darkness everywhere. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Andhakar. So Maya is the darkness, literally dark and also dark by in the matter of knowledge. That means ignorance. That's why even the knowledge of Krishna, see, first of all, let's see Krishna, his effulgence. Arjuna describes Krishna's effulgence in the universal form, Virat Rupa. दिवि सूर्य सहस्रस्य भवेद् युगपदुत्थिता यदि भाः सदृशी सा स्यात् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. So that means even hundreds and thousands of suns are just an indication of the kind of brightness that is there from Krishna's body. They can never really depict. That's why it is said might resemble. Actually, they don't. But from our viewpoint, from because we know a single sun's brightness. In our calculation, hundreds of thousands of suns will be wow. That's like unlimited brightness. But this is like the frog's philosophy, Kupamandukan. Because if a frog who has a frog in the well, if the frog in the well, we have to tell, if another frog comes and tells, hey, there is this Pacific Ocean, this very big water body, much bigger than this well, then the frog in the well would ask, how big is it? Is it like 100 times this well, 1,000 times, 100,000 times, 1 million times this well? So 1 million times the size of that well will be huge, massive for this frog, but it's nothing compared to the Pacific Ocean. Or even if it was 1 billion times, 1 trillion times, it would still be nothing. That is the size of the Pacific Ocean. So, when it is said here, Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapaduttita, so thousands, you know, thousands of suns, hundreds of thousands of suns. That's just to give us an, to satisfy the frog in the well that we are. To give us an idea like how bright it can be, but actually that's not the real indication of Krishna's brightness. Krishna's brightness is unlimited. Mahateja. This is the Mahateja. And their radiance might resemble. That's why it is said the light of the sun, which is so bright and hot for us, even from a distance of millions of miles, is a dim reflection, a very, very, very dim reflection of Krishna's brightness. Just imagine. So, this is Krishna's brightness, not only his personal bodily brightness, but his knowledge is non different from him, right? Whatever his words, his name, his pastimes are all non different from Krishna. So, therefore, we have this verse 5:16 in Bhagavad Gita. ज्ञानेन तु तद् अज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्. Again, the word Aditya is here. Here, Aditya means sun, Vivaswan. Now, when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. See, bright. His knowledge is also bright. He is also bright. His knowledge is bright. Everything. Even his name is bright. You see. Um, oh, wait. Yes. Haridas Thakur explains this. Amha samharadakilam sakrid udayadeva sakala lokasya taranirivati mirajaladhim jayate jagan mangalam harer nama. It's a beautiful meter, this verse. As the rising sun immediately dissipates all the world's darkness, which is deep like an ocean, so the holy name of the Lord, if chanted once without offenses, dissipates all the reactions of a living being's sinful life. All glories to that holy name of the Lord, which is auspicious for the entire world. This is from Padyavali, Antya Lila 3.181. So you see, the holy name is also bright. The pastimes of the Lord are bright. Um, the Krishna himself is bright. The knowledge about Krishna is bright. Everything is about him is full of illumination, and that means, you see, practically it means this: Yo mameva masammudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. 15:19 Bhagavad Gita. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharata. This is what it means, bright like the sun. He knows everything now. For example, in the darkness, you open a torchlight and then, kind of, shine it here and there. You will have some idea of your surroundings a little bit. But when the sun rises up in the morning, oh, everything becomes revealed. You can see very, very things that are very far away very clearly. So a similar verse is there in the Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is also like the sun. Krishne swadhamopagate dharma jnanadibhih saham kalau nashta drishamesha puranarko dhunodhitah. Purana Arka means sun. This Bhagavat Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So, what is this Purana all about? In this Bhagavad Puran, what is there? There is philosophy, there is pastimes of the Lord, pastimes of the devotees, interactions between the Lord and his devotees, the vanquishing of the demons. So, all these pastimes of the Lord and his devotees, that means the pastimes of Krishna, the Leela, Krishna Leela, are as bright as the sun. Or rather, sun is just, when it is said sun here, it is just to give us the brightness, because for us, sun is the brightest object. Of lights, I am the sun, Krishna is saying. But actually, it's not, because his light is way greater than the sun. Sun is a dim reflection of his brightness. So, what he's mentioning in this chapter, 10th chapter, is the things that we can perceive, and among those things, the greatest in each category, Krishna is saying that is a representation of me. So, among the lights, the brightest that we know, that we experience, is the sun. And therefore, these comparisons are given in these different verses that I've shown, comparisons made to the sun. But actually, the Bhagavatam is way, way more brighter than the sun. Way more brighter than the sun. Because it is the effulgence of Krishna himself. Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's book is non-different from him. So the pastimes are as bright as him. So even the devotees are bright. Is it this one? No, not this. 11:26, 34, I think. I don't know. Yeah. Yes. You see this? Devotees are brighter than the sun. Santo dishanti chakshumsi bahirarkah samuthitah devata bandhavah santah santa atmahameva cha. My devotees best out divine eyes, whereas the sun allows only external sight, and that only when it is risen in the sky. Whereas devotees can spread light, the spiritual light, even in the complete pitch darkness. Even at night, we can have Krishna Katha and our lives can be illuminated, whereas sun only gives us light in the day, and that too material light. There is the sun rising every day, but people are in ignorance everywhere. Yeah. So the sun does not give as much radiance as the devotees. Now, this is not visible to our eyes. Our material eyes cannot perceive this brightness of the devotees, brightness of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, of the holy name. That's why it is said, okay, let's read this one first. Whereas the sun, my devotees best out divine eyes, whereas the sun allows only external sight, and that only when it is risen in the sky. My devotees are one's real worshipable deities and real family. They are one's own self, and ultimately they are non-different from me. So in this way, we can understand that everything related to Krishna is bright. Is bright. And why we cannot perceive this? It's because अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादि न भवेद ग्राह्यम इंद्रियैः सेवोन्मुखे हि जिह्वादौ स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यदः. You see, no one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Not only name, form, qualities, pastimes, but also entourage and paraphernalia. Entourage means the devotees of the Lord. And everything that is offered to the Lord also becomes spiritualized. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. 424. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Now, it may not be very evident from this translation, but if you see the verse itself, so Brahma, the word Brahma is so many times repeated here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times it is repeated in this word Brahma. Brahma Arpanam. Brahma means spiritual. Brahma. Brahma Arpanam. So our offering is spiritual. So whatever we offer, even if it is a material thing, when it is offered to Krishna, it becomes spiritual, spiritualized, Krishnaized, Prabhupada said. Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havir. Havir means butter. So of course in the actual sacrifice, fire sacrifice, there is butter that is offered. But we can offer many things as sacrifice. And actually the verses after this, 424, right? 425, 6, 7, 8, 9, they're actually mentioning different types of sacrifices. I'll give you an example. What are we talking about when we talk about sacrifice? Okay. Let's say 426. श्रोत्रादीनीन्द्रियाण्यन्ये संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन् विषयानन्य इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति. Agnishu, you see this word? Agnishu means in the fire. So here, sacrifice is figuratively described. They're actual sacrifices, but they're compared to the fire sacrifice. So just as the butter is put in, or ghee is put into the fire in the sacrifice, similarly, in our course of daily activities, let's see, some the unadulterated brahmacharis sacrifice the hearing process. So here the butter or the ghee is the hearing process, and the senses, hearing process and senses, in the fire of mental control. So here the fire, the mental control represents the fire, and senses and hearing process they put in the fire. That means what? They sacrifice the tendency to hear mundane sounds. They only want to hear about Krishna. So this is called sacrifice of the hearing process in the fire of mental control. So in this way, and then the others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. Now, this is not very easy to understand, right? It's uh, metaphorically spoken here, but um, the fire of the senses. So the objects of the senses, because we are always attracted to the objects, uh, but by using them in Krishna's service, our senses will not become contaminated. So, sacrificing the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. So, they are not using the objects for their own sense gratification, they're putting in the fire of the senses which are used in Krishna's service. So, in this way, they are restraining themselves from sense enjoyment, which is what it means. That is sacrifice. So, everything, so Brahma Arpanam, the act of offering, the offering itself, Brahma Havir. So here, the hearing process and senses, and then the objects of sense. These are the havir, the ghee that is poured into the fire of the senses, and then the mental control. These are the fires. So in this way, the next few verses until 429 delineate many different sacrifices. So we go back. So Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havir, Brahma Agnav. The fire is also Brahma. Brahmana Hutam. What is it? Hutam. How is it translated here? Hutam, offered. Brahmana Hutam. Brahma eva tena gantavyam. Gantavyam means the destination to be reached. Brahma. So by this sacrificial performances, the destination or the fruit of the sacrifice is also spiritual. Brahma karma samadhina. So these activities are all spiritual. So devotional service is spiritual. Everything about it is spiritual. Even if it is material, it will become spiritualized, Krishnaized. So anyway, coming back to where we were, Atah Sri Krishnamad, we cannot understand this brightness of the Lord with our senses. But when we offer, Sevan Mukhehi Jihvadao. See, what is that? When we start serving Krishna, beginning with our tongue, sacrificing my tongue's tendency to talk nonsense, and using it in the chanting of Krishna's name and speaking about Krishna Katha. So that is sacrifice. By doing that, Krishna is pleased and then he will reveal. Swayameva spurati adaha. He has to reveal. So why are we then doing devotional service? Why are we chanting? Why are we doing this? If Krishna reveals, then why are we doing anything? We should wait for Krishna to reveal, right? No. Krishna will reveal to who? With whomever he is pleased. Okay? So how to please him is the next question. And that's where this devotional service comes. Because Krishna says, if you hear about me, if you chant about me, if you bow down before me, manmana bhava madbhakto madhya jimam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Krishna says, I am satisfied when you do these things, when you become my devotee, when you worship me, when you hear my glories, when you bow down before me. These things satisfy me. So therefore we are doing this to satisfy him. And if he is satisfied, then he will reveal. He will reveal. So that's the whole point. Now, these brightness, we're talking about brightness now. Everything about Krishna is bright, even his devotees are bright, he is bright, his knowledge is bright, his pastimes are bright, his qualities are bright. Um, Everything about him is bright that we have seen. Now, coming back to this part. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Jyotisham Raviram Suman. Now, just now when describing this, I explained that when we do Arati, we say this verse, Swaprakasho Mahatejah. His effulgence is bright. We have seen all those different things about him that are bright. Sarvataha Timirapaha. Sarvataha Timira apaha. He destroys the darkness everywhere, the physical darkness and the darkness of ignorance. He dispels. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Andhakar. Jahan Krishna, Tahan Nahi Mayar Adhikar. Krishna is like the sun, Maya is like the darkness. Wherever Krishna is, there is no darkness of Maya. Now, unless there is the sun, we cannot see. And it is said in the universal form, in the Virat Rupa, the sun and the moon are his eyes. So, unless he sees, we cannot see. Sometimes we think, because without the sun, without the moon, we cannot see. You may say, no, 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 I have lights, electrical lights within my dark room, and it's night and there is no sun, moon, my lights are working. Well, where is the light coming from? Electricity. Where is the electricity coming from? Coal. Well, coal is there because of the sun, because of the pressure, because of the earth itself exists. The life exists on earth because of the sun. So if you trace back anything, okay, if you say, no, 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 I'm getting hydroelectricity from water. Okay, why are the rivers flowing? Because of the sun. The sun evaporates the water, and then there is replenishment of the water, and then that whole cycle. So if you see in this material world, sun is the source of all light. Even if we think that, oh, we have invented something without sun, we can have light now. Well, you're just borrowing the power from the sun, manipulating the resources of nature, of Krishna. So ultimately, of all lights, he is the chief. Hmm. In other words, and it is said that the sun is his eye, moon is his eye, right? Of the Virat Rupa. Now, in the Malay language, the sun is called Mata Hari. Hari. Our Hari means Krishna. In Malay language, which is the local language here in Singapore, Malaysia, Hari means day, day, as in day and night, day. Every day is Hari Hari. Hari Hari means every day. Hari means day. Mata Hari means the eye of the day. The eye of the day, Mata Hari. So, same thing. Krishna says, I am this of the universal form. The sun and the moon are the eyes. So, in other words, if we are looking at something, it has already been seen by the Lord. Sometimes we think, oh, we can hide this from something. We cannot do anything in hiding. We cannot. Because if we have seen something, that means the Lord has already seen it. Because without him there is no light. And without light we cannot see anything. And any light that we have is always coming from the sun, and sun is his eye. So whatever we are seeing, we are only the secondary seers of anything. He is the primary seer of everything. So we should always remember, therefore, that we can never hide. We can never hide. We can run as fast as we want, but we can never hide um, from the Lord. And not only the Lord, I'll show you something else. You see the word here, Jyotisham? All the luminaries in the sky, right? Jyotisham. Now, I found something interesting recently. I was just reading. 5:13:4. You see this? Um, this verse is about something else, but okay, let's see the verse itself. Yeah, this verse is about something else, about how one is blinded by the affection for his wife and family. Now, in the purport, you see here, such a lusty person does not know that all his material activities are being observed by different demigods, especially the sun god, and are being recorded for the karma of one's next body. One thinks one does things in darkness or hiding or in privacy. There is no privacy at all. Please get out of this thing that, oh, I need privacy. There's no such thing as privacy. Yeah, even our thoughts are known to him. Even future Krishna knows already. Now, astrological. Now, the interesting part is here. Astrological calculations are called Jyotish Shastra, Jyotisha Shastra, Jyotisha. Because the Jyoti or effulgence in the material world comes from the different stars and planets, the science is called Jyotisha Shastra, the science of the luminaries. By the calculations of Jyotisha, our future is indicated. In other words, all the luminaries, the stars, sun, and moon, witness the activities of the conditioned soul. Thus, he is awarded a particular type of body. You see, that is why it's called Jyotisha Shastra. There is a reason why it is called Jyotisha. Uh, because, of course, the science of the luminaries, but the luminaries see. The sun sees everything that we do. Um, and it's a great science. Just today, I was looking at a video where there is one genius astrologer in India, boy. He's a very young boy, Abhigya Anand. He has a YouTube channel of his own, Abhigya Anand. Even from he was when he was a 7-year-old boy or something, he started making major predictions in the world, and things happened. Everything happened. And just 3 months ago, he was predicting the Bangladesh will face the same issue, same scenario, same kind of scenario it faced in 1971, and that actually happened just 3 weeks ago. So in this way, this is a science. Yeah, and much things that will happen much ahead in the future are also mentioned in our Bhagavatam. So Jyotisha Shastra, this is a science, the great science. What I was going to show? I was going to show something. Forgot what I was going to show. So anyway, so this is a great science. Yes, I was going to show this. um, what is that? All the witness. 6142. Yes. No, not this. 142. No. Oh, 41. What is this? Come on. Yeah. 6142. सूर्योऽग्निः खं मरुद्देवः सोमः सन्ध्याहनि दिशः कं कुः स्वयं धर्म इति हि एते दैह्यस्य साक्षिणः. The sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and Supersoul himself all witness the activities of the living entity. What does this mean? Because one may think, hey, these are all material things. How can the sky see anything? How can the air see anything? It's just a dead thing. Although it is a dead thing, yes, it is one of the inferior energies. All these things, right? 7:4. भूमिराप अनलो वायुर्खम मनोबुद्धिरेव च अहंकारमिति यम में भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा. 7:4 Bhagavad Gita. These are the material elements. But for example, air. Although air itself cannot see, Marichi, the wind god, Vayu, he can see through this material element called air. And wherever air goes, he can see that thing. So his eyes are not like our eyes. Our eyes, we borrow from these demigods all the powers to see or to perceive. But these demigods actually own, of course, they are also given the empowerment by Krishna. They control these things. They control sight. They control touch. They control these things. It's like this. There is an electrical powerhouse and there is a power socket in my room. Now I may connect these lights and fan or an air condition or whatever. I have access to some portion of the electricity, and I'm making my life comfortable with that. But the powerhouse, the electricity department of the government, it owns the power. So it has way more power and it has reach everywhere in every single home, every single industry, everywhere its reach is there. Whereas my access to power is only within my house. I have no access to the power socket in the next house. So similarly, my senses, we can only access to a certain extent the information with our senses, our perception, sense perception. But these demigods, they own these things. They own. So they have access to everything. Just like every single place in the country that the power cables go, the powerhouse, they have access. They can cut off or they can give you electricity, right? They can switch on or off. So similarly, the demigods give us this chance. Okay, you use these senses and perceive whatever you can. But I can perceive everything. The demigods, you know, that's their position. In other words, Krishna, he is the Paramatma. He is everywhere. He can see everything. And he gives some of this power to the devatas who can also see and who, through these elements, can see us. Even in the pitch darkness, when we completely dark, we cannot see anything. Pitch dark, we are we are clearly visible. We are never out of their sight. Never. So sometimes we may try to escape um, punishment by state law, but we can actually not escape the punishment by God's law. We cannot. So then why there should be state punishment even? Because God is anyway punishing them. Why should the state punish? The reason is because suppose a person murders another person. Now he will be punished either by state law, or if he somehow escapes, he will be punished by Yamaraj and his servants and his whole paraphernalia. Either way, he will be punished. That is for sure. But if he is punished by the king then and there, if he kills someone, okay, he should be killed. So if that is done, then next life he can start afresh. He can start afresh. That means that reaction of killing someone, he will not carry it forward to his next life. He will finish it off. So that is one of the codes of conduct for the king. He should punish a killer like that. So that is a good thing actually for the person who has committed the crime. You know, like recently, there was this horrific rape and murder of a doctor in Kolkata, India. Happened like a week ago or something, week or 10 days ago, or something like this. So huge news in India, national news, and doctors all over the country were protesting and are still protesting, and it's because sensational news, horrific rape, and it happened between um, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. around that time. This doctor was doing night duty, and she some for a little while she was going to rest in one of the rooms, and there she was raped and killed, murdered horribly, cold-blooded. Now there there has been a lot of attempt to conceal the evidence, and many big shots are involved in this, because apparently she was trying to um, become a whistleblower for some scandal that was happening or something, and that's why apparently they although this aspect is not highlighted much in that case, but anyway, that's the primary reason why they even decided to end her. And then the hospital was lying to the parents, saying that, oh, she committed suicide, oh, it was an unnatural death, it was a clear cut murder. So things came out into the light, but still, they were trying to cover the evidence. Now their attempt to cover the evidence is foolishness, because Krishna, the demigods, through the material elements, have seen everything, and they will get their due punishment. Now there are people who are protesting, saying that he should be given heavy punishment, and whoever is complicit in the crime should be given heavy punishment. Well, that should be done, yes, but they say this: oh, justice should be made, justice should be given to this case. to the person who has departed, to the family of the departed, like that. But justice will be served. Justice will be served either way. If the government slips on this, then the government will become complicit in the crime. But if the government punishes, yes, the government then will not become complicit in the crime, then will become, you know, not implicated in the crime. But if the government slips, then there are other agents. For sure, the person has to face the reaction, without a doubt. So, for those who are protesting that, there should be some action, that is also another kind of foolishness, because action will be taken on that person. That is for sure. Yes, what the government should do is, of course, punish the person and, you know, create an atmosphere where these kind of things should not happen. That is the responsibility of the government, for sure. Yes, that is an able government. That's what it should do. Of course, I mean, there are many things which are wrong with the society. Just fixing one part, we cannot just fix one part of the society. We have to fix the entire thing. And, know, for example, even the role of women in society. First of all, when a woman goes out of the home, she is liable for danger. I mean, she is exposed to danger. And this is evident from Ramayana. Mother Sita, she went with the husband. And for a moment, she was not with the husband, and then there was catastrophe. Kidnapped, and she was. So there will be some demoniac characters everywhere at all times. So a woman going out without the protection of the man. I mean, look at the condition of the society today. They think that, oh, she was an honest, you know, student, and now she's working. She's, um, kind of, yeah, she was honest in her, this life, last life, what she did, we do not know. Why she got this, such a horrific way to die. What kind of karma, we don't know. This is what happens. The person who rapes and kills, if he somehow escapes in this life, next life, he will be raped and killed in the exact same manner. So, if we see a rape now, the victim was a perpetrator in a previous life. That's how karma works. I mean, it may not sound very nice. Oh, how can you say like this? People may get emotional about this, but we have to impartially see how karma works. So this is how karma works. How come an innocent person was subject to such atrocity? How? So this is what happens. So the Lord, when He comes, He gives lessons to us. So when Mother Sita was there outside, and then she was exposed to danger. And even in Mahabharata, Draupadi was exposed to danger, although she was within the walls. But when the husband's protection was not there because of the gambling match, they could not do anything, and then she was in danger immediately by demoniac elements. Some demoniac rascals will always be there. Ah. So look at our society where a woman has to work so hard in the night. She was doing a 36-hour duty. 36 hours duty. What is that? Why should a woman be put in that position where she can actually be at home, raising a family, taking care of the children and husband, and the husband? That's why if the whole civilization is at fault, I mean, the whole thing is topsy turvy. You can't just fix one part of the thing, because with this work culture, the women also think that, oh, we should have the right to work. Why? You think household work is not work? You have to work outside? Oh, my dreams, my what dreams? So this is misdirected civilization. What dreams? Human life is meant for becoming Krishna conscious and going back to Godhead. That is what human life is meant for. But you see what is going on? Oh, in the name of what is it? Academic dreams. Oh, I want to fulfill my dream. Apparently her dream was to become a gold medalist in medicine or something like this. So Previously, there was society, but women, they were kept safe at home and they were happy, content doing their household duties and raising up the children, which is so important task for the woman. Nowadays, with this woman work culture, the children are not getting enough attention from the mother, and then they will grow up to be, you know, not good citizens of the state, of the country, of the world, of human society at large. Varna Sankara, wrong association, wrong upbringing, lack of proper nurturing, and then in the end, society becomes unstable more and more and more. So this is not a sustainable way to live. So therefore, Krishna consciousness is an overhaul of the entire system from the roots. It starts with the ideology, the philosophy, the um, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, to understand who we are, what we should be doing in life. So in this way, it enlightens the whole path. But anyway, they who have been trying to conceal the evidence will never be able to conceal themselves from these sakshis that are mentioned in this on the screen here. They cannot escape from these sakshi, and then they cannot escape from the super soul, because the super soul ultimately empowers the demigods to do this, because he can see everything. सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत् सर्वतोक्षि शिरोमुखं सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके सर्वमावृत्य तिष्ठति. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. We think we have a surveillance system, CCTV. No one can match the Lord. Now, so the point is, only when the Lord sees and when he gives us the power to see, we can see. So when we have seen something, means the Lord has already seen it. The demigods have already seen it. We are not even the secondary seers. We are like, you know, how many agents have already seen between us and the Lord already? Yeah. So when we offer the arati lamp to the Lord, of lights I am the sun, he's saying, he's the brightest. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning is that, and then after the light offered to the Lord, we take the prasadam light. We take the prasadam light. What is the meaning? That means we are acknowledging that we are the secondary enjoyers of anything. Um, let the Lord enjoy, because we, in our current materialistic state, we want to be the enjoyer. I want to be the primary enjoyer. Everything is for my happiness. Hmm. But in Krishna consciousness, we are acknowledging the fact that we are secondary. Krishna is primary. So Krishna, he is the light, and the light belongs to him. Swaprakasha Mahatejas Sarvatas Timirapaha Bahya Abhyantara Jyotir. He enlightens everything outside and inside. Deepoyam Pratigruhyatam. Please accept this Deepa. Why should I offer one Deepa to the most brightest person in the creation and beyond creation? Why should I offer? What does this offering means? This is just an act of love. Just like Prabhupada explained, um, a child gets pocket money from his father and for his own usage actually. But if he saves up and buys a gift for his father and gives his father a gift on his birthday, the father treasures it. Oh, my son has given me a gift. But actually, what is that gift? It is with the money of the father only that he gave as quota for the child. He used some of that quota for to offer something to the father out of love. So although that gift he could easily, afford the father, but he takes it as very special because it is the love of the child that he accepts, not really the gift. So we are acknowledging with that mantra that Krishna, you are the source of all lights. This light exists because of you. Now, please accept this light. Just like to worship the Ganga, what is offered? Water. Water from the Ganga is taken and offered back to Ganga. because we cannot offer water to Ganga. What water we can offer to Ganga? Ganga is the provider of water. So, and then we are taking the prasadam light of the Lord. That means we are accepting that we are secondary enjoyer. That's why when we offer the food, let Krishna enjoy the food first, then we will enjoy. Let Krishna. That's why Uddhava says this. त्वयोपभुक्तसृग्गन्धवासोऽलङ्कारचर्चिताः उच्छिष्टभोजिनो दासास्तव मायां जयेमहि. Simply by decorating ourselves with the garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will indeed conquer your illusory energy. You see, garlands. People decorate themselves with flowers, bouquets, and garlands for their own gratification. Fragrant oils, oh, perfume companies, oh, big. What is that? Uh, I don't know the names also properly. All French perfumes, whatever. So many perfume. But we also have perfume every morning. We rub some perfume. But what is this perfume? Offer to the Lord first. Clothes, ornaments. In fact, any clothes that we have, anything actually we have, we offer to the Lord first. Krishna is yours, and then we use it for your service. Ornaments. In fact, some temples, ISKCON temples, also they auction their deities prasadam ornaments that the deities have been using for a while. After that, they auction them and then raise funds for the temple like that. And sometimes, devotees, especially women, they wear those earrings as prasadam earrings of the Lord. That is done. So the Lord has worn, and then as prasadam, people wear. So in this way, um, the garlands that the Lord wears, we can wear the garlands, prasadam garlands. And everybody's eating, we are also eating, but prasadam, food. What is happening in all these things? In this, what is happening? We are acknowledging that Krishna is the enjoyer, we are the secondary enjoyers after Krishna. We are taking his prasadam. We are deliberately getting out of that conception that I am the primary enjoyer. You wear the garland, then I will wear. You use the oil, let it be offered to you, then I will use the oil. You wear the clothes, then I will wear. Of course, we cannot wear the deity's clothes, but even the clothes that we have, usually it's offered at the feet of the Lord, and then one wears. Ornaments, food, so everything, even charanamrita water. The Lord takes and then we take. So in this way, we are acknowledging the Lord is the primary. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Krishna says, I am the enjoyer of everything. So we're acknowledging that. Just like a servant, sometimes master gives him something. Okay, you enjoy this. Like the servant in a palace, he also gets to live in a palace. But the palace does not belong to him. It belongs to the king. But the servant, because he is honestly serving the king, he also gets to live in the palace. So we also get kingly facilities by serving the Lord, but we are only secondary enjoyers. Just like the servant in the palace, he knows that this palace does not belong to me. I'm here because the king is the enjoyer and I'm serving him. And I may get some residence in the palace and some comforts of the palace. So similarly, a devotee is comfortably situated in this world because he is protected by Krishna and because he accepts everything secondary after the Lord has enjoyed. That's why Uddhava says, we will indeed conquer your illusory energy by taking your prasadam. So, going back, so Jyotisham, see, we have spoken so much on Jyotisham. So it is interesting that the horoscope, the astrology is called Jyotisha Shastra because the luminaries in the sky, the light, although it is faint for us, but they can actually see whatever we are doing, and because of that, the calculations can actually reveal to us. this higher awareness that the demigods have, we have little access to that through the science of astrology. And if as much as one is good at it, one gets that much awareness. But the demigods have this awareness naturally. They don't have to make calculations. They have this naturally. They see everything in real time, and they can see in the future as well what is going to happen. But we are given by the mercy of the Lord and by the great sages who are also inspired by the Lord. We are given this system where we can map the sky, and from the position of the planets we can know something about the future of this world and observe, analyze the past of this world. So in this way we can know something. It is a tool that is given to us that is beyond what we can know with our senses and mind. It's beyond that. Astrology is something beyond our capabilities, because we are borrowing the knowledge from the luminaries in the sky and making some calculations, and with the system we can know something. um, Therefore it appears like magic. Oh, he predicted and it happened. um, of course you have to be good for that, um, but it's actually just a calculation. And of course there's intuition, but this is given to us by the devatas. And imagine how much the devatas would know, not only about this world but every single planet. And imagine how much the Lord will know. We, if we have know a little bit more, we already feel it's like magic. Oh, he predicted, and, you know, it's a mathematical calculation. So, in this way, we should understand that the Lord is already, He owns everything, and He gives us little facility for us to use. We should not be surprised that, oh, how can something exist beyond this? Of course, it can exist, because we are only given a slice of the entire power of the Lord. Whatever power we have of seeing, of sensory perception, of mental capacity, of intellectual capacity, of physical strength, or whatever we have, is just a slice of a very small portion. In fact, Krishna is saying, I mean, finally he says in this chapter, what does he say? Even such greatest, I mean, we are nothing. Even such greatest of examples like the sun, the shark in the ocean among the fish, and the demigod Skanda. Sorry, where did I go? Hmm. And all these, I mean, many examples are given it, right? Given in this chapter, that all these great things are a glimpse of my glory. Here he says, "Athava bahunayatena kim jnanatena tamarjuna vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam ekam shena sthito jagat." In fact, we'll go to the one before this. You see, यद्यद् विभूतिमत्सत्वं श्रीमदूर्जितम् एव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छत्वं मम तेजोंश संभवम्. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. From big fire, if there is one spark from the sun, let's take one spark away from the sun. With that one spark of Krishna's glory, which is compared to the sun, he is maintaining this whole material world with its multifarious universes and everything. Imagine what minute portion of Krishna's power we have. And suddenly we think that, oh, how can something exist beyond this? It is not possible. It's all some mythology, it's some, fairy tales. This is our, foolishness, frog in the well. Koopa mandukanyaya. अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहम idam कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो jagat. What need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. That is Krishna. That is Krishna. So, Jyotisham Raviram Shuman Marichir Marutam Asmi. Marut. So, Maruti. Hanuman is called Maruti because he is the son of the chief of the Maruts, Marichi, the Vayu. So, that's how he got the name Maruti. So, Marut, there are 49 Maruts. And Indra, we have that whole story how Maruts are born to Diti. But they become friends of Indra. That's why Indra is the Lord of the heaven, and his weapon is the thunderbolt, Vajra, and his assistants are the clouds to bring forth rain. And wind is an essential factor in moving the clouds and all that. So all these maruts, 49 maruts, they assist these clouds. There is a Samvartaka cloud, which is the most powerful cloud in the universe, which comes at the time of universal devastation. And the whole universe is devastated, or even partial devastation, that cloud is summoned. When Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill, the rain from which Krishna protected the Vrajavasis, that was not ordinary rain. Oh, just some flood happened, something. No, Samvartaka cloud came, not ordinary rain. That kind of rain will dissolve planets into pulp, into dust. That kind, when you take a water jet, and you can break things with that, right? It's very, very powerful, so forceful. In fact, there is one machine which cuts even diamond with water, precision machine. Um, it can be that powerful. So Samvartaka cloud. So all these, wind and everything assist Indra in the matter of supplying water everywhere. So these maruts, they have more duties than just carrying clouds here and there. And just imagine, I was just flying from to Russia, and in Russia we were flying, and then from Russia we flew and came back. 1 month we were there, and in the flight, whenever you take a flight, you will see the clouds. And just I was just thinking about it. Every time I see clouds, I usually think about it. So I was just looking out the window, and wow, these clouds, and they were looking like mountains, in the suspended in the air, mountains in the air. And I was just imagining how many tons of water is these clouds, and they're just floating in air, tons, way more heavier than the aircraft that we were flying in. All the clouds, that much of water is just floating like cotton. So how Krishna arranges this whole transport system, the Marichi, the Marut, all these come into play. Krishna employs all these agents. That's why these are demigods, devatas, who are subsidiary departmental heads. They take care of so many things which seem to have happen naturally. They say nature, nature, nature. How much effort there is, but it effortless for the Lord. But the devatas have their duties going on, and they are the ones who make all these logistics. To transport something, you need another container, and then a transport system, fuel. Just imagine the water from the ocean coming onto the land as rain. The logistics of that, the tons and tons of water have to be carried. If we were to do that, we have to lift, and we cannot even desalinate it properly. It's impossible. Impossible. That's why we should give up the hubris that everything is within our control, which is not. Because annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhavaha. We subsist on food grains, and food grains are produced by rains. Unless there are rains, we cannot. We cannot have even our food, our sustenance. So therefore, so if we like this observe how powerful the Lord is and how He's managing the whole creation, and this is Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is teaching us in this chapter how we can see His glimpses of His power in the things that we perceive in this world, so that even by looking at anything and everything, we can remember Krishna. The real fruit of all this is to not to really find how things are working, but how things are connected to Krishna. That is the real thing we need to find. Because, of course, we should know how it works, because ultimately the working factor is Krishna. Without him, it cannot work. That's the whole point. Like, the other day, classic example. Okay, the other day I was watching a short, video short. This scientist, his name is what is his name? Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think some of you might know. He's a physicist and um, atheist scientist. So he was explaining that water, water has a very peculiar property. Everything else other than water in this world, most of the things, or practically everything, expands when it is heated and contracts when it is cooled. When something is like metal, you know, if you see roads, there is sometimes gaps, and there's metal there. I don't know if you have noticed, um, especially on bridges and railway tracks. There is gaps. Why? Because in the summer they will expand, and then if 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 there's no gap, it will just there will be accidents. So there has to be gap. In the summer it will expand, and winter it will contract. So everything expands like that. Water also expands, and when it is heated, and condenses when it's cooled, but condenses until 4 degrees Celsius. When it comes to 3, 2, 1, it expands. Peculiar. Now, now this scientist, he was explaining this, and he was saying, there's a peculiar thing about water, it expands after, below 4. And he said, if it did not expand, which is true, if it did not expand, what would actually happen? If you see water bodies in winter in cold places, like when we went to Russia, it was not cold, it was hot because it was summer. But in winter it will be cool, and I think Dina Krishna Prabhu is here online with us probably. He was saying it will reach until minus 30 in some places, and the coldest region in America, in Russia, is in the world, and it's in Russia, Yakutsk, minus 71 degrees Celsius. Imagine. So what happens to the water bodies at that temperature? The top layer becomes ice, but inside is water. So how is this happening? Because the air is so cold, say minus something, and then the top level of the water freezes because of that. But because it expanded after below 4, it is less dense than the water below it. If it was more dense, if it contracted, it will become more dense, then it will sink. The ice should sink, and then the fish will have to have lesser, like the ice will go at the bottom, and then now lesser water, now the top layer again will freeze, again will go below, and then like this the the water will become shallower and shallower and shallower. Ultimately the fish will die. There will be no aquatic life. But because water expands below 4, it becomes less dense, so it is lighter than water, and so it floats above water. Ice floats above water, and therefore the water below remains at 4 degrees Celsius. So now there's this thick layer of ice, say, and below is all water. Now the water near the ice also becomes cold and becomes ice, but then again it will float. The water below is, so this ice now shields the water below from the temperature above, which is like minus something. The water below remains at 4 degrees Celsius. So it remains like that, and all the fish, they can survive like that. Now he explained this. Now that's it. That's where his knowledge ends. But if we know that this is connected with Krishna, we can see how Krishna is so merciful that he allows the aquatic animals and aquatic life to live with this exception of the rule, which everywhere else is different. But for here, to save the aquatic life, he made the rule the opposite. So behind this peculiar feature of the water is the mercy of Krishna. So that he misses, this atheist rascal scientist. He misses this point. So Krishna is allowing them to live. Although they were, and who are those fish? Who are those fish? Innocent animals? No. Rascals of the first order. These are the fish. तानहं द्विषतः क्रूरान् संसारेषु नराधमान् क्षिपाम्यजस्रमशुभान् आशुरिष्वेव योनिषु. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Next. आसुरीं योनिमापन्ना मूढ़ा जन्मनि जन्मनि माम अप्राप्यैव कौन्तेय ततो यान्ति अधमां गतिम्. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. And what is the most abominable type of existence? What is the most abominable? What is the most painful? What is the most suffering? So, let us explain. In the gradation of living entities, Jalaja Navalakshani, if you go to 19138, okay, here you go. Madhya 19138. There are 8,400,000 species and limitless living entities. Now, yeah, Vishnu Puran. Jalajan avalakshani sthavara lakshavamsati krimayorudra sankhaka vakshinam dasalakshanam trimshallakshani pasava chaturlakshani manusha. There are 900,000 species living in the water. These are the lowest. Next, 2 million trees. Next, there are 1.1 million insects and reptiles, and then birds, 1 million. Then quadrupeds, four-legged animals, 3 million, and then finally 400,000 human species, which is the highest among the life that we can observe in this on this earth. So the aquatics are the least. So imagine Krishna, he is showing mercy upon these sinful rascals who ended up as aquatics in the ocean by switching the order or the law when it comes to water compared to any other element. Mercy. So Krishna's mercy is the primary factor why water has, because scientists themselves do not know why water, why does it expand below 4 degrees Celsius. They do not know. We know. We know why exactly, because it's Krishna's mercy upon the aquatic animals, and not only aquatics, everything else. Because that water from the ocean, I mean, not only the aquatic, ecologically the whole balance is kept intact by such activity by Krishna. So you see how merciful Krishna is. What drives the reversal in the rule of law of nature? He that scientist described in the video as if he created the law. Very interesting. Water does this. Oh, if it did not do that, then this would have happened. Look at that. That is, you should know that this is science. With that ego, he told that property of water, as if he knew this secret code. He cracked the code and he knew what was going on, and this is how science can explain things. That rascal doesn't even know why it is happening that way. We know Krishna's mercy. Prabhupada said, how come the cow is eating grass, which has zero nutritional value, and giving milk with so much nutrition? What is going on inside the cow's body that this is coming out? Usually we eat some nutrients, then we have nutrients. But cow is not eating nutrients; it's eating grass. How is it getting nutrients? Prabhupada said, Krishna's will. Krishna's will. And the mother, when she gives birth to the baby, immediately there is milk in her breasts. Until then, there was no milk. I did not know that this was the fact until I heard it from Prabhupada. I never knew. So, the mother gets the milk in her breasts immediately after delivery of the child. That means Krishna is providing for the child through the mother. How? Why exactly at that time? Why not any time? So, I mean, this is Krishna's arrangement. So Krishna is so merciful. He is maintaining Eko Bahunam, Yo Vidadhati Kaman. He, one person, is maintaining everyone, but we deny. Despite so much evidence, we deny that there is God. It's the stupidity of atheists. So, where were we? Marichir Marutam Asmi. Hmm. Now, winds have other functions as well. Let's see this. Something which we cannot understand. Modern scientists cannot understand even. You see this? 52114. As in an oil pressing machine, the first axle is attached to a second axle, which is one fourth as long. That means 3,937,500 yojanas or 31.5 million miles. The upper end of this second axle is attached to Dhruvaloka by a rope of wind. Now, this whole description is about the planetary systems, how the planets are arranged like a chandelier, starting from Dhruvaloka at the top, and all these planets are, like a chandelier moving about the axis. And how are the planets held together to this? Because chandelier, everything is connected, right, with metal or whatever, glass. But here in this case, what is holding all these planets in their orbit? Here it is mentioned a rope of wind, a rope of wind. And in the poles, in the Arctic region, there is this phenomenon of the wind that happens, that it goes like almost like a tornado, and that's what is observed. Um, there's probably the rope of wind which is visible to us in that way. Okay, so there's so many. I mean, and even within our body, there is wind going on. You know, you see 367 purport Bhagavatam. Our body is like a, what is that called? Pneumatics. Pneumatics. Um, Air controlled pneumatic. They're called pneumatics. There's another name. With air compressor, you can move things, air piston kind of things. What is it called? Pneumatics is one, but there's another word. Hydraulics. Yeah, hydraulics. So such movement of the air can move, big cranes. You see those cranes, they move because of air pressure inside, air compressor. They move and they lift big things with air movement alone. So our body is moving. That's why Ayurveda analyzes our body with as kapha, pitta, vayu. So these three dhatus, they, if they're in balance, then we are healthy. If they're not, then we are sick. So vayu um, moves all things within our body, and pitta, kapha. So vayu, there are so many types of vayus. Let's see. The activity of consciousness is performed through the air of life, which is of 10 divisions. The airs of life are called prana, apana, udana, vyana, and samana, and are also differently qualified as naga, kurma, krikara, devadatta, and dhananjaya. The consciousness of the soul becomes polluted by the material atmosphere, and thus various activities are exhibited in the false ego. Okay, if you go to 369 here, you see the movements of the body are first generated from the heart, and all the activities of the body are made possible by the senses, powered by the 10 kinds of air within the body. So our senses are working, but behind the senses there is air pushing. Even the pumping. What is pumping of the blood within the body? That's because of the air. Our food is digested because of the air. There is a activity that goes on in our intestines called peristalsis, in our esophagus, in our intestines, which moves the food, um, despite how we are oriented, whether upside down or whatever. Food still goes the proper direction. This is because of similar hydraulics type um, activity of the air. Now, the movements of the body are first generated from the heart, and all the activities of the body are made possible by the senses, powered by the 10 kinds of air within the body. The 10 kinds of air are described as follows. The main air passing through the nose and breathing is called prana. The air which passes through the rectum is as evacuated bodily air is called apana. This is actually the downward moving air. Even when the mother is giving birth to a child, when they say, when the doctor says push, push, actually it is the apana air which pushes the child out, just like the stool is pushed out of the body due to the apana air. It's the downward moving air. The air which adjusts the foodstuff within the stomach and which sometimes sounds as belching is called samana. The air which passes through the throat and the stoppage of which constitutes suffocation is called the udana. And the total air which circulates throughout the entire body is called vyana air. Subtler than these five airs, there are others also. That which facilitates the opening of the eyes, mouth, etc., is called the naga air. That means, you see, our opening of the eyes and closing of the mouth and eyes, the air is powering these things, hydraulics kind of systems that is within our body. And Darwin is saying that mindless chemicals came together and life is produced and our body is working perfectly suddenly. I mean, if we need to make hydraulic systems work, then our hydraulic systems are just some chemicals came and happened. Uh, brainless brainless conclusions. So you see, opening of eyes, mouth, etc. is called the naga air. The air which increases appetite is called the krikara air. Hmm. The air which keeps what is that? Air which keeps which helps contraction is called the kurma air. Contraction of muscles and expansion of muscles. This is kurma air. The air which helps relaxation by opening the mouth wide in yawning is called the devadatta air. And the air which helps sustenance is called the dhananjaya air. You see, there are so many subtle things that are going on within the body without our knowledge. All these airs are generated from the center of the heart, which is one only. This central energy is the superior energy of the Lord, who is seated within the heart along with the soul, who acts under the guidance of the Lord. So, this is the soul. So, where is the um, body getting all its energy from? From the soul. Hmm. Of course, you may say, oh, if I don't eat food, then I don't have energy. That means the soul has become weak or what? No. Just like actually the soul cannot be fed or not fed. If you feed a dead body, it's not that the dead body will get any strength. So the soul is what is powering this body. It's like the driver powers the vehicle. Now, if you don't pour fuel in the vehicle may stop, but it does not affect the driver. So similarly, if we do not take food, it does not affect the soul. It affects the body, condition of the body. So food is like the fuel, but it's not the moving force of the body. Moving force comes from the driver, the soul. So Marichir Marutam Asmi. So within our body, in the cosmic space and the large planets, all these are moved. Every planet is moving in its orbit, all because of the work of Vayu, all these Maruts. Huge department of of maintenance within our body and without and everywhere. Nakshatranam aham shashi. The controversy starts. 9, 10. Nakshatranam aham shashi. Okay, so among the stars I am the moon. And Prabhupada very, very emphatically here says that moon is one of the stars. That means stars are like the moon and they're not like the sun. Whereas the modern scientists say otherwise. Now, we should not be too much surprised with this, because and especially even in the Bhagavatam, we are currently in our Singapore temple. We are studying fifth canto, 13th chapter. Soon we will get to the 16th chapter, and from the 16th chapter to the 25th chapter is all about the planetary systems and all this cosmology, Vedic cosmology. Now, that'll be a challenging section of the Bhagavatam. Um, I was myself very much bewildered. Now I have more of an assurance of, of course, I do not know many of the details, but I have at least a little bit of um, solace, to so to say, that there is a possibility how two contradicting systems can be true at the same time. For example, our Puranic cosmology maps out the universe and its planetary systems in a much more different way, much different way than what we observe from our vantage point, or even from the instruments that the scientists create. And why it is so, we can only guess, but there can be some plausible options, why plausible explanations for why this can be. So, for example, what is explained by Krishna and what we see can differ sometimes, and we should not be too much surprised or lose faith in the statements of the Vedas because of that. We don't need to do that, because okay, so the Puranas describe, this is an example. From this we can understand why we should not be disturbed. The Puranas describe the earth as Bhumandala, a vast plain of land, in which it has many mountains and oceans and everything. But it's a vast flat land. And then we have the Surya Siddhanta, on which modern astrology and all our astrological calculations, our almanacs are all drawn up from that Surya Siddhanta astrological, based on Surya Siddhanta astrological text. Now, if you observe, the position of moon is differently described in the Purana compared to the Surya Siddhanta. So the Puranic description of the earth, the luminaries in the sky, and the Siddhantic description, the Surya Siddhanta. So the description of the Surya Siddhanta, the version of space explained in the Surya Siddhanta, is the Siddhantic cosmology, and the version of the cosmos explained in the Bhagavatam is the Bhagavat cosmology or Puranic cosmology. So the Puranic cosmology and the Siddhantic cosmology are very starkly different. For example, moon in the Bhagavatam it is said that it is higher than the sun. But in the Siddhantic cosmology, we have a clear-cut verse, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on that verse also I have read, where it is said that the moon, during the eclipse, the moon's shadow falls on the earth when it is a solar eclipse, and the earth's shadow will fall on the moon during lunar eclipse. And that's what the modern science says, but the Purana says the moon is farther than the sun. So how come the shadow of the moon can fall on the sun? Sorry, moon shadow can fall on the earth. That means moon is between sun and the earth. Purana says moon is farther than the sun. So how does moon shadow fall on the earth? Whereas Siddhantic cosmology says yes, moon shadow does fall on the earth. So how? Two different, very opposite descriptions of the moon. So what is at play? And also in the Puranas, you will find that the Chandra Dev, Somarasa, there is the beverage of Somarasa on the moon planet. The life on the moon is many thousands of times more comfortable and heavenly than compared to the earth. All these things are their descriptions. Great civilization there, cities and everything, and beautiful gardens and everything. And yet, our Chandrayaan moon lander goes there and finds desert, not even air to breathe. You'll be suffocated if you open your spacesuit. And it's starkly different. Why? Why? So, both are offering very different versions, the Surya Siddhanta and Siddhanta cosmology and the Puranic cosmology. And the modern scientific cosmology also kind of matches with Siddhantic cosmology, Surya Siddhanta, but also sometimes it doesn't match. But this is the thing, the Lord can show the same thing to different living entities differently. This is possible. The same thing can be seen by two different observers in entirely different ways. For example, I have given this example before. The deer, the animal deer, sees only two colors, whereas humans we see three colors and its combinations, whereas deer only sees two colors and its combinations. So the tiger, with its stripes, if it stands under the tree motionless, the deer, although it may be in the front of the deer, but the deer cannot see the tiger because the orange and the black, it merges with the rest of the foliage, the shadows, and everything. For the deer, the tiger is invisible. For you and me, the tiger is very visible right in front of our eyes, but the deer cannot see it. So that's an example of the same thing in the same environment. We are looking at the same thing, but differently. To one, it is visible, to another, it is not. Number two, the dog can hear sounds. For us, this will be ultrasonic, but for the dog, it is still within sonic range. Dog's sonic range. For us, it is beyond our sonic range, it is ultrasonic. So the dog whistles. If you blow on that whistle, you will not hear any sound, but the dog will hear the sound and he will come. So, and the dogs also can sometimes see ghosts, which we cannot see, and sometimes even some humans can see ghosts. I mean, Sundar Gopal Prabhu can see ghosts. Um, when we were in Russia, in one place, he was mentioning that he saw ghosts, three small girls, ghosts. So he can see ghosts. So we can't see. So there are things which sensory perception, some people are endowed with some sensory perception which others are not endowed with. Like the eagle, he can see very clearly from miles above in the sky, where we cannot see. We have to put spectacles to even read a book in front of our eyes sometimes. So, you know, different powers for, different people are gifted with different capacities. That is one thing. Next, um, how can the moon be near and far, nearer than the sun and farther than the sun at the same time, or Puranic cosmology farther, Siddhantic cosmology nearer? How come? Well, we do not know how exactly Krishna is making that happen, but we should know one thing, that the Surya Siddhanta was spoken by Surya, Surya Bhagavan, Vivasvan, to Mayadanav. Mayadanav is the architect of the demons in the lower planetary systems. To him, Vivaswan described the cosmic situation and astrology as well with that. So he described the world, he described the universe and the sky in a way that we see. And therefore, Surya Siddhanta's descriptions of the sky kind of match with what we see here and what the modern scientists describe. They do not match entirely, but they do match in many of the. Compared to the Puranic, it's very different. In Purana, you cannot even relate to anything in the Puranas, almost. Everything in the Puranas is different from what you see. For example, the Meru mountain. Massive, colossal structure, a golden mountain, so big in the sky. It should be visible, right? But it's not. It is on the earth. I mean, not on this earth, but the Bhumandala. Of course, sometimes in some texts it is also mentioned as the axis of the earth is the Meru mountain. That is a subtle description. For us, we cannot see it. But the Meru mountain, with all its variety, with all its description that is given in the Puranas, so detailed description, all the mountains that surround it, and the gardens, the kind of trees that are there, the kind of rivers that flow there, the kind of fruits that are there, the massive, colossal trees that surround that mountain, everything is described. But we can see nothing. If it is that big, it should be like, like Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. It should be like a huge golden, and that too, it's like an inverted cone. Inverted cone. It should be a massive structure in the sky, but it's nowhere to be found. Whereas the sun and moon, which are in the sky, which are not even from the earth, they are visible. Himalayas in the Bhagavatam, the height is mentioned as 80,000 miles high. Mount Everest is 5.5 miles high. What happened to the 79,995 miles? What happened? So, it is a subtle region which is again not accessible to us. So, we should know that there is much more than what we can see. But to Mayadanav, who was an occupant of the lower planetary systems, Vivaswanda, Surya Bhagavan, although he is a demigod, he described to him as he would understand it. So Mayadanav could see the sky as almost like how we see it, because we are also in the lower planetary systems, in the middle planetary system and lower. And especially in Kali Yuga, we are, almost like a resident of the hellish planets. So, therefore, we can see in that way. Whereas Sukadeva Goswami and the demigods of the higher planets, they see in a very, very different way. So the same thing can be differently arranged. For example, a show like Ramayana, in the 90s, you would have to watch it on TV every week, one episode. And then for the next episode, you have to wait one full week and then watch that episode. And so to finish the whole Ramayana, you would take many years to finish with intervals, one week apart. But now, today, they are not so far apart in time. You can go to YouTube and one playlist, the whole Ramayana, you can watch it, binge watch the entire series. They are next to each other. So you can choose now which one you want to watch. You don't have to, you're not constrained by the time, because it's a different system of viewing. TV is a different medium, the internet is a different medium. So with a different tool, you are able to see the same thing which was so far apart in time. Now they're so close in time. See? Another thing that happens in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopakumar, he travels to the spiritual world and back, and again he goes back. He goes to the spiritual world, he comes back to the material world to thank his guru, and again he goes back to the spiritual world. So, I'm not going to go into the whole details, but the first time he goes from one planet to one planet to one planet to higher and higher and higher and higher, and then he finally goes to the spiritual world. Now, he took a long time to go from one planet to another. The second time when he was going, he came back, he thanked his guru and was going back again. He was going to the same planets to thank each and every one of the presiding deities for helping him in his onward journey. But he said there in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, that statement is there, that the same distances which were covered in such long time periods is now I'm able to traverse those distances in unimaginably faster times. So quickly I'm passing from one planet to another. This same distance took me forever to travel. Now I'm passing with effortlessly. So the speed changes with a higher body. the vision changes, the arrangement, like for how exam, the playlist example. Now there's a playlist and then there's the TV show. One is bound in time like that, like the Ramayana series episode, and then after that there may be a news episode or a sports episode. So the Ramayana episode and the sports episode are next to each other in time. Whereas in the playlist, the Ramayana are all together in next to each other, and the sports is on another channel or another website, so it's farther apart. So the same thing is near or far in terms of time, but the same thing can be possible in space as well. And with quantum entanglement and whatever the physicists are trying to explain, people are, I mean, they're trying to explain that things that are very, very far apart in the universe can be very near at the same time. You know, um, I'm not an expert in quantum physics at all, but you know, um, I mean, in their own way, they're trying to explain what they see, what they understand, what they hypothesize. Like, we don't really buy their explanations, but the kind of idea they have that it can be possible is already mentioned in our Shastras. The disparity between the Puranic cosmology and the Siddhantic cosmology, that disparity, um, we are already seeing in the descriptions, and that means there's definitely that it is possible. And the modern scientist is trying to imagine such a possibility. In fact, this is a statement by the scientists. They say that it is possible near a black hole, their description, not a Vedic description, it's a modern science description. Near a black hole, it is possible that a circle of 30 kilometers circumference, if the circumference is 30 kilometers, radius should be like divided by 2 pi r, which is like somewhere around 4 or something, 4 kilometers, something, probably, right? Roughly 5 something, almost 5 kilometers radius, right? So circumference is 30 kilometers, radius is 5 kilometers. So the radius is always lesser than the circumference. But near the black hole, the space and time warps so much, can warp so much, according to them, that the circumference can be 30 kilometers, but the radius can be millions of kilometers. How that is possible? So, I mean, they say with quantum gravity, relativity, whatever they explain in their own way, which I'm not an expert about, but they say this is possible. I mean, circumference is 30 kilometers, but radius is millions of kilometers. So, if they can imagine of that the kind of a concept where near and far are no more like how we think in our general life here on earth, then that is definitely possible for Krishna to do it. And Krishna can easily do it. And if we see first verse of the Bhagavatam, what it says. Yat surayah muhyanti yat surayah मुह्यन्ति यत् सूरयः तेजो वारि मृदाम यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा. What does this mean? See, by him even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. So all these elements, land, fire, I mean earth, fire, water, these things can be, we think, oh yeah, we know how they exist. I'm sorry, we do not know how they exist. We do not know how they exist. We think we know how they exist. We know how they might exist on this earth to an extent, even then to an extent. Even here, we do not know how it exists. For example, that water expansion below 4 degrees Celsius, we do not know why is happening. Apart from that, we cannot see the subtle regions of geography on with our mapping, with our Google Maps. We cannot see it. The Himalayas, which is 18,000 miles high, we cannot see all that. Whereas Vyasadeva is still sitting in the Himalayas, which is in a part of the Himalayas which is completely inaccessible to ordinary humans. It's in a subtle region which is completely inaccessible, completely shut off from our access. We cannot even see where that access point is, but it is there. So, so we do not know, and I'm telling you, I mean, there are descriptions in the. I want to make a whole video on this whole topic, cosmology. But Brahma, for example, it is said when Brahma met Krishna in Dwaraka, all other Brahmas from various different universes came, right? And they all bow down their heads at the feet of Krishna. This one Brahma could see all the other Brahmas, but each of those Brahmas could not see each other, although they were in the same room. How it is possible? One thing. Next, and when the helmets of the Brahmas touched the ground, because millions and billions and trillions of helmets were touching the ground, it was making a tumultuous sound, unbearable sound was making. And this one Brahma could hear all those sounds. But if you see, Brahma's body is made of mind and intelligence. That is explained in the Bhagavatam. Only mind and intelligence. That means completely subtle. Not like our metal. He does not have a crown, metal crown like like we have a tongue, it will hit the ground and make sound. Subtle. Mind and intelligence. Not even like a body, like a soft body, like a skin that we have. So if his body is like that and his crown is all like that, how come he has a golden crown? First of all, gold means gold, like physical gold, right? No, no. Gold can also be subtle gold, and that's what this Meru mountain must be, subtle gold mountain. So he is. How can the crown of Brahma come and hit the ground and then make sound if it is just mind and intelligence, and if his dress is all made of that material? Even ghosts don't have a body like us. They have subtle body, and the demigods are even higher than ghosts. And Brahma is the topmost of all the demigods and rishis and sages. He is the topmost in the universe. How subtle of a body he must be having, and yet his crowns are clashing on the ground. What is exactly going on? So it's a subtle form of earth, subtle form of water, subtle form. So these things we cannot see. Subtle earth, the Himalayan range, the 79,995 miles, subtle region. The vast majority of Himalaya is such subtle region. Even the little bit that is available to our vision is still the Himalayas are already the most massive mountains in the world. So we think we know this universe. We think we know the laws of the universe. We think we know that everything is as static and as clear as it appears on this planet here to us. And if it does not, that is some imagination, some mythology. We should come out of this. We should come out of that. We should accept the world, not just because we want to speculate and we want to live in a fantasy world, or come out of the imagination, come out of your all this, what you can see, and then imagine something. No, accept the Vedic statements for what they are. Even Indians, they describe astrological events, that so and so personality met with so and so personality in another star or some planet, and they try to explain it in a astronomical event, some pulsar, some star explosion, some supernova. They'll try to explain like this. I have seen some videos. It is horrible. I mean, it may be that that's how it is manifested to us, but they take these stories as some figurative stories. It's actually an astronomical event in the space which was described as a romantic affair between moon and the Tara, and like this is how they explain. No, sorry, that's not the way it is. The Vedic statements are not to be taken like that. They are not just some figurative, metaphorical statements which are just for time pass. The sages wrote some scientific, astronomical event as some stupid, childish story, movie like Bollywood something. No, they won't do that. Okay, they're not idiots. The sages were not idiots. So stop making a fool. I mean, this is my appeal to those so-called astrologers who come on these YouTube channels and speak rubbish. Stop making a fool out of mockery out of this whole big science. So these are actual events that take place, but we cannot see it. We may perceive it in another way, in our own way, in our own demoniac perspective, like how Mayadanav sees, how Surya described the astrological signs to Mayadanav, the architect of the demons. And we take help from that book, Surya Siddhanta, to calculate our astrology. So that means the same cosmos. And to us, you see, we see the moon looks lifeless. We look at the sun, lifeless. We look at Mars, lifeless. We're looking for life in every single planet that we're trying to explore with our machines. We cannot find. Scientists are wondering, where is life? Where? It should be somewhere. How come it is not there? They are perplexed. So to us, the whole universe appears cold, dark, and dead. That is the demoniac view of the universe. Still, Krishna explains to us, from this description of the 10th chapter, how we can see Krishna's greatness in all this creation. But do you think that the entire grand creation, vast distances of stars, moon, sun, and all this is just made for one particular planet, this one planet and living entities, and nowhere else? If you think about the engineer, why should he create such a grand thing if he just have to accommodate some one planet worth of people? No, everywhere it is full of life. So the Puranic version of cosmology, as opposed to the Siddhantic version, the Puranic version describes a universe full, replete with life. Every single planet, every single millimeter of space is full of life. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvagata Sthanur. The living entity is everywhere. And that is the description we will get from the Puranas, that all these higher planets are full with living entities and people and cities and civilizations, far, far superior to Earth. But in this Siddhantic view, we don't get that. We get or with the modern science, we get a dead idea of the whole universe. That's a demoniac perspective of the universe, and this is the godly perspective of the universe, so, the Puranic. So we're looking at the same thing, but completely differently. So one who is seeing like this, he will never agree to the Puranic statements. But if we have to become devotionally Krishna conscious, we cannot deny either, because we are taking advantage of Siddhantic calculations in our almanac, in our astrology, in our calculations of following what is the appearance day, disappearance day of the acharyas or the Lord and everything. Even that is astrologically calculated. And that is taken from the Surya Siddhanta. So how can we deny Surya Siddhanta? Plus, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented on that. He commented on that. And I have seen the commentary. And especially that sloka where the moon is, comes between the earth and this thing in during eclipse. Whereas Puranas describe the Rahu and Ketu form the eclipse. Surya Siddhanta does not deny the Rahu and Ketu, but they describe Rahu and Ketu as nodes and not as planets. So for us, that is the description. How to understand these things from our perspective, that is how it is explained. And modern science is a subset of what Surya Siddhanta offers. They know even much, much lesser than what Surya Siddhanta offers. Whereas Puranic, completely different. There are levels of planetary systems, As much as one is spiritually advanced, that planetary system he inhabits. So Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, we don't have such view. Like, in a playlist, all the Ramayana series in one playlist, Mahabharata in one playlist, Vishnu Purana another playlist. So you can have playlists. So like that, all planetary systems are on playlists for the demigods. Whereas for us, it's like a complete random throw. Throw some stars into the sky and they just randomly, occupy the space in the sky. That's how it looks to us. Whereas for the demigods, it's all layered according to spiritual advancement. They have playlists of planets, planetary systems. It's like the TV and the, the, the internet. The arrangement is differently observed by the demigod. So these things, and because our shastras sometimes mix both these descriptions. Sometimes they take some descriptions from the Puranas, some descriptions from the Siddhanta. So it appears like, there are all some mythology, some crazy stuff, some imaginary fairy tale, primitive tribal fellows talking about sky kind of stuff. It looks like that, but no, but no. So in order for us to grow spiritually, we have to accept Shastra, whether my senses allow me that perception or not. Sometimes this is the argument given by devotees to prove the existence, to prove that the Shastras are true. That dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. The soul is moving from different bodies in the different stages of life. So actually, they are all different bodies. So similarly, the soul accepts another body at death. So it looks logical. Yeah, yeah, that's logical. So they say you test out the statements of the Vedas and you will find them out to be true. But there is a problem with that because you sometimes cannot test them. They are beyond your testing capability even. What do we do then when it is beyond our testing capability? For example, this moon, when the Puranas describe moon in that way, or even the whole Bhumandala and the luminaries in the sky and the orbits and the size of the mountains, all these descriptions and the life on other planets, when they describe all these things and they're completely invisible to us. So what do we do now? We cannot even prove. All those descriptions seem like fairy tales, some Avatar movie or some what is that? Some Jurassic Park movie or whatever it is. It looks like that. So what do we do? How do we strengthen our faith and how do we advance in our understanding? This is what we should do. We should first not have any faith in our so-called senses when it comes to Shastra. Otherwise, yes, we should check as much as possible when we are hearing other sources. But when it comes to Shastra, authorized Shastra, Vedic scriptures, then we have to accept those statements because they're given by the Lord. This is axiomatically we have to accept. That is given by Krishna. That is a fact. Now, Krishna cannot make any mistake. But then how is he saying like this? Well, if he's saying like that, that must be true. Then why am I not seeing it? Because I am not given that privilege to witness what is being described in the books. I am given only a slice of the reality. I'm not seeing the entire version of it. I'm seeing one version of it. And therefore, you see this verse 5:16:4, it's actually prose, but it's a very nice statement. Shukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, there is no limit to the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy." We're not talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're not talking about the spiritual world. We are talking about the material world. There is no limit to the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. This material world is a transformation of the material qualities, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamogun. Yet, no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. This material world we cannot explain. No one in the material world is perfect, and an imperfect person could not describe this material universe accurately, even after continued speculation. O king, I shall nevertheless try to explain to you the principal regions such as Bhugolaka or Bhuloka with their names, forms, measurements, and various symptoms. Another interesting thing, the Puranas, Bhagavatam for example, describes the earth, Bhumandala, as a flat plane. Siddhanta, Surya Siddhanta, describes the earth as a globe, as a round globe. How can something be plane and globe at the same time? It's possible. This is the illusion of the Lord. We think we know sometimes, oh, Krishna's Maya is very powerful. We do not have the slightest clue how powerful Krishna's Maya is. How can the same thing be shown in completely different ways? Well, it is possible for the Lord. That is Achintya Shakti of the Lord. That's why it is said. Otherwise, if it was so easy to explain, you would say, yeah, if you sit with me for 1 year, I'll explain to you everything. I can give you a crash course or a PhD course in 1 2 years, everything about cosmology. He could have said, but no. He said what? In the lifetime of Brahma, you cannot know. That complicated, this material universe alone. I'll give you an example. The universe, we have heard in the Puranas that the universe is contained in a shell of the seven elements, earth layer, which is 10 times as thick as the diameter of the space within. That means the shell is so thick, the earth shell, and water shell 10 times the earth shell size. Then fire covering 10 times the size of the water. So imagine the space of the universe, inside the universe that we see, is very, 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 very. It's one 10 millionth of the size of the entire size of the universe. Imagine 1 10 millionth or maybe even a billionth or something like this of the entire size of the universe. Oh, sorry, sorry, quadrillion. I think it's going way many many orders of magnitude. So small. The coverings of the universe are way more bigger than the universe itself. Now I thought the earth layer is a thick layer of earth, like like what we find on earth here, thick layer and then just earth. Turns out it's not so. It is actually subtle earth. This Gopakumar in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he goes from Brahmaloka to Vaikuntaloka and he passes through these layers, the covering layers of the universe. He goes to the earth layer. You know what he finds there? He does not find some earth and he digs, some takes a shovel and dig and dig and dig and go up. No. You know what he finds? Vast opulence, greater, unimaginable even on Brahmaloka, found on in the earth layer covering of the universe. Unlimited opulence. And Bhudevi, the presiding deity of that layer, is serving Lord Varahadev with all paraphernalia of that place. And the opulence that is found in that layer of earth is not found anywhere in the universe, not even in Brahmaloka. Unimaginable even in Brahmaloka. I mean, what is there? I mean, it's like a whole world there. Whole world. Bigger than even Brahmaloka. So it's unimaginable what is there even in this universe. And water. Varuna Dev is worshipping who? Kurma or Ananta or somebody. I don't remember the whole details. The whole details there. Each layer has a presiding deity, and then the deity is worshipping. Presiding personality, devata of that day of that layer, and that layer is. That personality is worshipping the presiding deity of the Lord in that layer. Each layer has a presiding deity of the Lord. Now imagine, we think we know. What do we know? Nothing we know. So we have to be humble and accept both the Siddhanta and the Puranic, both. And if it's contradictory, that means there's a problem with our understanding. Somewhere it is limited. Means if it is contradictory, then what is at play? The Lord's illusion is at play. Different people see differently. So that information that different people see the same universe differently, we will never get it if we don't accept both versions of. If we say, "Oh, this Puranic cosmology is just bogus," then we will not enter into that higher understanding of the Lord's power to bewilder us. How the Lord is bewildering us, that in Puranas there is one version, Siddhanta another version. We will not see that if we just accept one thing. We cannot appreciate the power of the Lord's illusion if we accept one thing. So by accepting two, because we have to accept Shastra, we have to accept Acharyas. We cannot say, and mind you, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I mean, stalwart astrologer, stalwart astronomer as well. I mean, astronomer and not astronomer like the space travelers, but astrologer, let's say astrology and mathematics and all this. He was stalwart in that, and he also was an expert in Bhagavatam. And he never was in a dilemma. Hey, how come Surya Siddhanta said like that? Bhagavatam is saying like this. What is going on? How come there are different? He did not become confused. That means he comfortably accepted both the Siddhanta and the Puranic version of cosmology. That means what? Both are true. If both are true and both are opposite, what is going on? In our head, if in my head I cannot wrap around it, then I should accept the Achintya Shakti of the Lord. The Lord is doing something by which we are able to see in this way, we are able to understand this way, and the different beings are able to understand different way. And then we can have some analogy like this playlist. I said, actually, it's not my example; it's somebody else's. I read about it. Some devotees are actually doing some research on this cosmology thing, and they are analyzing Prabhupada's teachings and Bhaktisiddhanta's teachings and Acharyas, and trying to find out what we can understand. So they have come up with these possible explanations. So, I mean, that example will give us an idea. Yeah, okay, there is different perception that is possible for the same thing. If you want to see the same thing, it can be differently seen. Okay, so that is possible. So we get comfortable with the idea that there can be different versions of the same truth. That Krishna can show this to me and this to somebody else. Although we are looking at the same thing. How is that possible? No, Krishna can do that. Why not? If Krishna can fit one night of Brahma within one human earth night during his Ras Leela, that means he can warp the time that much. And the entire expanse of the Golok Vrindavan, which with unlimited cows, unlimited cowherd boys, each with unlimited cows, how can that fit within 884 square mile district of Mathura? How? That means space he constrained. He what is that? He fit unlimited region within a limited region, unlimited time, or rather very very long time within a single night. So if such warps are possible for Krishna, why not it is possible for others? Why not it is possible even in the material world? Because the demigods are invested some of the power of Krishna. Like we have seen in the same today's verse, that they can see every single activity that we do. But that is Paramatma, right? But how come the Vayu is seeing? How come the sun is seeing? How come the stars are seeing? Well, Krishna has given them some of that power. So they borrowed that power from the Lord so they can see for their own duties that they have to do as witness, as punishment, or as reward, or whatever. They have to have that power. So the Lord empowers them to be able to see. So similarly, Krishna is warping space and time when in his Vrindavan Leela here on earth. So, I mean, Prabhupada said this Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan is the hub of the spiritual world. Hello, if you analyze it, it's in the material world. Spiritual world is somewhere else. How come he's saying this Radha Damodar temple is the hub of the spiritual world? That means he is seeing something which we cannot see. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describe also the Ishodhyan, the Lord's garden. Ishodhyan means the Lord's garden in Mayapur, in Navadvip, as a beautiful, expansive spiritual garden of the Lord, where the Ashtakalya Leela is happening and the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also there and everything. It's a very, very opulent place. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, but if an ordinary man looks at that place, it'll look like just some pots, some hut, some people walking by, and it looks like an ordinary place. They have zero idea of the spiritual vision of what their actual place is. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes the whole Navadvip Bhava Taranga, I think, in which he describes the whole place, the different features of that place. He describes very clearly, and yet we cannot see any of that. That's why Rupa Raghunate Pade Hoibe Akuti Kabe Hama Bujhabo Sri Jugala Priti. Unless I have the mercy of Rupa and Raghunath feet, their feet, lotus feet, I cannot access, I cannot witness Vrindavan and the pastimes of Radha and Krishna within Vrindavan. I will not be able. Nayane he ribo sada jugala rupa rashi. Mora e abhilash vilas kunja diyovas. Nayane he ribo sada jugal rupa rashi. Tulsi Arti, every morning we sing. What is that? We are requesting Tulsi Maharani, please let me see Vrindavan. Now I may take a plane ticket and go to Vrindavan, but I am actually not seeing Vrindavan because it can only be spiritually seen. We are going there. Krishna is so kind that even if we cannot see Vrindavan spiritually, even if we go to the material, we take a material flight and go to a ticket to a certain location in the material world and then go to that land, we get the benefit of going to the spiritual world. He's so kind. We don't even know how these dhams exist. We have zero idea. We're talking about cosmology. We do not know how the dhams exist. They are more complicated than cosmological understanding of the universe. Because in cosmological understanding, it is just the material world we're analyzing, we're trying to look at in different ways, they are appearing to different people. This is material and spiritual. This is material world. Krishna put the spiritual world inside the material world. In one small location of the material world, he put the entire spiritual world inside. This is even more complicated than cosmological understanding. So, if Krishna can do that kind of warp of time and space, definitely to some degree he also does that, and different warp of different things, even our vision, what we can see, what we cannot see. He can warp it in many, many different ways. And therefore, all these different descriptions are perfectly possible at the same time. That's the achintya. Achintya khaluye bhava, natam starkena yoje. We cannot use our logic and brain and intellectual capacity to enter into this understanding. We cannot. It's beyond. It's beyond that. Okay, so kind of gave a cosmology class there. And therefore, this is why Prabhupada always condemned the moon landing mission. Even if they go to the moon, it's nothing. They have not actually. Prabhupada said they never went to the moon. Actually, they never went to the moon. Even they go to this, even if they go to this moon that we can see, that our version of the moon that we see, the dead barren land, is that called really going to the moon? For example, you have a chip, a motherboard, green color with some soldering all over the place, chips and all that. Now, this motherboard, if I say that in this motherboard, in this, say, hard disk, let's say hard disk. Hard disk, what is it? If you rip open the hard disk, you will find a, PCB board, green color board with some wiring, soldering, and all that. Now, if I say that within this hard drive, this green thing, there are movies, there are games, there are photos, there are whatnot. You will open up the thing and see some green soldered wires. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? There's nothing there. The green color nonsense, plastic. I'll throw in the dustbin. I cannot see what is inside. But with proper equipment, if I connect it to a device, a screen, I can access the photos, the beautiful videos, the games, or whatever it is, graphic, whatever. So I'm looking at the same thing with a different instrument. Now I can see, but without the instrument, I cannot see. So similarly, the moon appears like a dead stone in the sky to the scientist. They're probably looking at the the green color board and saying, "What is here? Nothing." They don't have the necessary apparatus to see the real glory. So, in many different ways, like this, from these examples, if it is possible even on Earth, that the same thing can have, but we cannot see it. Like if a dog sees it, or even a child sees it, or even if a person from another age, maybe 1900, if you look at the green thing, you will never think that this will have something inside. For him, photo means, it's a physical paper or something. But it's possible with another apparatus, with a computer screen, it's possible, or with a phone screen, it's possible. So, we should um, accept. And if we cannot accept, we can find examples like this playlist example, like this motherboard, this hard drive example, where we can grasp a little bit about how this can be possible, that the same thing can be differently visible to different perceptions, how it can seem dead and how it can seem all lively to another person, different viewpoints, so different vision. Forget about other planets. This planet we cannot see ghosts, we cannot see, they're here, we cannot see. So like that we can understand. I thought we will cover a few verses today, but no, we already are 10 o'clock. Okay. Any questions or comments on this topic? Nothing can move without superior force, therefore, water moving and air blowing is the action of superior force through the sanction of Krishna. Then we use this for atheist. Of course, they will say that some things move by superior force, some things just move automatically. For example, they say we have voluntary muscles, we have involuntary muscle. This muscle I can move, but the heart muscle is not within my control, it will move on its own. It's just like a spasm going on. That's their stupid understanding. They will say that some things are under control, some things are beyond control. They just happen naturally, natural sequence, natural. So, for the simple minded, even the simple flower can remind him of God. For the crooked, the entire universe, grand arrangement of the universe is not enough to convince him about God. What to do? Feminism, yeah, this women working and all that whole thing is. Only astrologers who practice sincere austerity are empowered to read charts, right? So if simply one has book knowledge but no austerity in his possession, he will simply speculate in chart reading. He will have basic understanding of it, but higher intuition, higher this thing, he will have through Shakti. That's why actually this is all from tapasya. Even our these subtle sciences, subtle material sciences, and spiritual sciences, this depends on yajna, dana, tapa, karma. Um, the more we do these things, the more we become purified. Hmm. So even our chanting, for example, if without proper tapasya, without proper thing, it cannot work. There's no. That's why there's purushcharya process. So there's tapasya has to be there. These subtle sciences work differently from gross science. Even for gross science, you need some tapasya, right? You have to study it hard, that kind of tapasya. But this is even higher level, subtle science, and spiritually even higher. These services are allotted to the devatas by the Lord, and so they are they exalted devotees of the Lord because of their service? Yes, they are extremely exalted devotees of the Lord. Otherwise, you think Krishna will trust anyone with that? They're extremely exalted servitors. But still, they have material desires, and that's why they were put there. That's why the pure devotees are even higher than the demigods. Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. Acharyam Mam Vijaniya Navamanyata Karhichit Namartya Buddhya Suyeta Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. He's the representative of all the demigods put together, Guru. That's why we don't worship devatas, but we worship Guru. Sometimes people may ask, hey, why you are not worshipping any Shiva or something, but you're worshipping one so-called human being. Why? No. Guru is even higher than devatas. Sakshat Hari. Of course, he's not Krishna, but he is representative of Krishna. He's higher than ordinary demigods. That verse is there, no? 11 to 6. भजन्ति ये यथा देवान् देवा अपि तथैव तान् छायेव कर्म सचिवाः साधवो दीनवत्सलाः. Those who worship the demigods receive reciprocation from the demigods in a way just corresponding to the offering. The demigods are attendants of karma, like a person's shadow. But sadhus are actually merciful to the fallen. So they are higher than the devatas. The whole purport is about this, actually. You can go and read. What else? Why is prana analyzed and called Dhananjaya? Well, it's not, but see, I'm not an expert in Ayurveda, so I cannot describe very nicely all these things. But of course, there must be differences in its function, therefore, they're named differently. But exactly all those nitty gritty of those descriptions, I do not know. Bhanu Swami also made some Bhagavad Cosmology book. Can I read that? See, I don't get too derailed from Prabhupada books. You see, even if you want to read the other books, I would not recommend beginner devotees into going into that, because I have seen some devotees, and especially in Russia, you will find many of them when you went to Russia. They have too many books at their disposal, and after some 2 3 years, they will find some other acharya book, something. I want to find something which nobody else knows. I find something very very secret, something far out. You know, get somewhere derailed, sidetracked, get into speculations. So we do not know how to handle other books. To see them through the lens of Prabhupada's books, even if we have to consult any other book for something, to see them through Prabhupada's books requires a lot of advancement. So I wouldn't recommend anybody and everybody to just go and read whatever book you want like that. You just read um, first of all our Prabhupada's books. Have you finished Prabhupada's books first of all? If you have, then if you read again, because it's not enough. We will miss 100 million billion things from Prabhupada's books in the first reading. So we have to read them again and again. And then we can, even if we read other books, we have to be very, very careful, because if we don't have 100% faith in Prabhupada, sometimes we think, oh, this Acharya explained it better than Prabhupada. We will think like this, These kind of contaminations are so possible. And many devotees fell because of this. Oh, I like, one time one devotee came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, my favorite books are Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books. Prabhupada said, second favorite. Your favorite must be mine. Why? Because Prabhupada is so egoistic that he said like that? No. He's teaching us something, that we cannot understand Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books without Prabhupada's books. And to say that, oh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books are my favorite, he writes very well. What? Prabhupada does not write well, is it? So this kind of we compare from our material stupid viewpoint without understanding any of the transcendental subject matter, and we make our own decisions, own ideas, we concoct many things. We get very, very easily beyond the fence. When we're reading Prabhupada's books, what we are getting? We are getting all the Acharya's knowledge, and he's fencing us from becoming offensive. But then when we cross the fence, then we become offensive. We will go into the land of offense. Then we may commit offenses. There was one, I have this book, Harinama Amrita Vyakarana by Jiva Goswami. I haven't read it. I just kept it as some reference sometime. I don't intend to seriously read the other books. I have some other books. I don't intend to seriously read them as something. I want to know something more than what Prabhupada said. No, if at all, maybe some here and there, some reference. Sometimes it is said that Bhakti Sandarbha is said. No, I want to find the verse. I want to find the Sanskrit. So for the reference points, I have some books. Yes, I don't go. I don't intend to go deeply into them away from Prabhupada's this thing. No, Prabhupada is fencing us and keeping us safe. What we can understand, and actually, his books have unlimited wealth. Like that's what we find when we hear from Sundar Gopal Prabhu, for example. Every answer he gives from Prabhupada's books. Now, how is that coming? Because it's there in Prabhupada's books. We have not explored his books enough. We think we do when we read them once. We don't. So he's giving so much knowledge already. And also, we should not be interested in cosmology. Should not be interested in cosmology. Even my attempt at one point, this was like 12, 13 years ago. I was a little bit puzzled, how come, there is Earth is flat or round, something like that. Bhagavatam says like flat kind of model it gets in my head, the impression. But then our Earth is round, so called, some maps or whatever. So I was like a little bit, but at one point I thought, what, whatever it is, whether flat or round, it's a miserable place, so let's get out of here. I gave up. I did not really bother. But when the moon landing happened, I wanted to know a little bit. And this time my desire was different. I was praying to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, please give me some intelligence. Because I'm not interested in how the cosmology works and how this universe is constructed. I'm not interested. But I'm not interested in this material world. But now that the moon landing so-called happened, Indians will lose faith in their own Vedic scriptures. Faith in Vedic scriptures will dwindle because in Vedic scriptures there is Somarasa, there is everything, all these descriptions of moon civilization on the moon, and now there is nothing there. There is a what is there? There is some barren land without air, without water, and nobody will believe in the statements of the Vedas anymore. They say, "Oh, we have," they're congratulating themselves and everything, and but aren't they questioning? Why aren't they questioning? That, so the why aren't they questioning that our cameras on the moon are showing something else? Our Vedic scriptures are describing something else. They've already given up the idea that the Vedic scriptures can be true. They're just fictional stories, whatever, it's for primitive people that is good. They have already given into that kind of an idea. So I wanted to combat that. So I was praying to Prabhupada, please give me some intelligence to understand this matter in a way that I will not be um, what is that, unchaste to you, unchaste to Prabhupada. That you know I'll try to find an explanation which will deviate from what Prabhupada has said, that man has never gone to the moon. Um, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave Prabhupada's what he said about it. At the same time, I want to. They are celebrating something. They must have landed somewhere. What is that then? Why is there a disparity? So I wanted to understand it so that I can explain with confidence that our Bhagavatam is correct, our astrological text Surya Siddhanta is correct, and all these things. And when both things are correct and when both are so diametrically opposite in their descriptions, how are they both correct? That means now the new information comes from that observation, that if both are correct, that means the same thing can be shown by Krishna in different ways. So just imagine how much illusion Krishna wields with his Maya. So we can appreciate one more feature of how the power of Krishna's illusion. So which will get us closer to Krishna, which will increase our faith in Krishna, which will increase our faith in the Vedic scriptures. That was my real mission, to even wanting to understand this whole cosmology. I am not interested otherwise. What will I do even if I understand? What will I do? Can I do anything from here? I'm going to rot in this world only. Huh? I cannot move to any of those worlds. Why am I interested even? And we should not be, as devotees, interested in anything in this material world. We should be interested in Krishna. So why am I interested? Because this is Krishna's Leela, the creation, and we can easily get distracted and just get all into cosmology and cosmology and cosmology, and I end up in somewhere as a dust of some cockroach in some planet somewhere. I can become that, or I can appreciate it as Krishna's Leela and accept that there is going to be things which I'll never understand, and attribute it to the power of Krishna and explain it logically to rascals who have no faith in this Vedic scriptures and who are celebrating the Chandrayaan landing on the moon. Okay, so that was my mission, and that is the only reason why I would go there. And I'm praying to Prabhupada, please, Prabhupada, keep me at your lotus feet. Don't take me away. I am very, very scared when I touch any other book. Although it's all the acharyas, all previous acharyas, but I do not want to disrespect Prabhupada in any way. So after many years, I I mean, by the mercy of Prabhupada and the devotees, I haven't even touched any of the books of the acharyas. I have it as reference for reference, if anything. And even if I read them, I would want to read it in conjunction with Prabhupada's books. So, like if I read anything, I will corroborate it. Okay, Prabhupada said something here, and I would take notes like that. I want to be always with Prabhupada, even if I'm reading those books. So, yes, Prabhupada wanted us to read Shat Sandarbha, for example, and even wanted his disciples to consult his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on Surya Siddhanta for this cosmology research on for the Mayapur temple of Vedic planetarium. He wanted his disciples. So because Prabhupada said that, okay, I wanted to explore. But do not try to do that in the beginning stages of your devotional life. I wouldn't recommend it. Don't get digressed by this. Read Prabhupada's books, read them thoroughly. There is so much to find, so much to know even in Prabhupada's books. You will be amazed. We think sometimes, oh, I have known enough. Okay, I have enough idea. I want to know something more. This is the disease. So I wouldn't recommend for anyone and everyone. Only for established devotees and for legitimate reasons, not to get distracted by the whole subject, because that is not our real subject. Our subject is Krishna. Through cosmology, we want to become closer to Krishna. Not with cosmology, I want to go farther away from Krishna. So, and we can also end up in many speculations. When we read, we will, conjecture in our own way and then think we are a big philosopher, we are a big scientist. Pride goes with that. It's very dangerous. There's so many pitfalls that we have to watch out for. So, unless one is very, very established, I wouldn't recommend. And it's not necessary, in fact. It's not necessary. And that's why I wanted to make a video so that it'll help others to understand a little bit. But I wouldn't want everyone to go into this, okay, research into cosmology, research into this, research into that. No, there's no big need for that. Okay, Prabhupada books are there and they're enough. They're more than enough. That was great. I see the Golok Dham when I am chanting, but how do I know what is imagination and what is reality? Well, what you're seeing is imagination, because we cannot see Golok Dham. This is imagination. So, because if it was real, you wouldn't even ask this question. The person who sees Golok Dham is a person of the Uttama Adhikari level of devotee. This is the problem we encountered in Russia. There are so many devotees who think they are on the Uttamadhikari level and they want to sing some Radha Krishna, they want to go into Raganuga Bhakti, into high levels, all these high levels, and they make it cheap. If I say that I am seeing Golok Dham, that means Golok Dham is so cheap that even I can see it. Or I am so great that I can see Golok Dham. Either of the things have to be true. Either the Golok Dham is so cheap and stupid place that I can see it easily with my donkey eyes, or I'm so great at devotees and I'm the level of Prabhupada now that I'm seeing Golok Dham. And if I'm actually seeing Golok Dham, how do I not know that is imagination or reality? If I'm seeing Golok Dham, if I'm seeing Krishna, just now we read 15:19. Yomam evam asammudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bhav. Once you know Krishna, you know everything. You will have no more doubts. You're asking doubt means you're not seeing. It is in your imagination. So you have to stop this imagination. You have to be very careful. This is called a big defect in bhakti, which will be very dangerous in the future, which is called sahajiya. Sahajiya. Sahajiya means taking it too easy. It's a very great achievement, but we take it to be too easy. Oh, I have seen Golokdham, or I have seen Krishna, I have seen Radharani, I have seen this. I did this. I did this with Krishna. These are all, we don't accept this. I mean, Prabhu was showing me a barrage of purports. I'll show you one, far out one. We were in Sochi, a modern town in a modern city in Russia, when Prabhu showed me this. Okay, 6429. Let's read the Sanskrit as well. यद्यन्निरुक्तं वचसा निरूपितं धियाक्षभिर्वा मनसोत यस्य मा भूत्स्वरूपं गुणरूपं हि तत्तत् स वै गुणापाय विसर्गलक्षणः. You see, anything expressed by material vibrations, anything ascertained by material intelligence, and anything experienced by material senses or concocted within the material mind is but an effect of the modes of material nature, and therefore has nothing to do with the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is beyond the creation of this material world, for he is the source of the material qualities and creation. As the cause of all causes, he exists before the creation and after the creation. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Can we read that again? The first part. Anything expressed by material vibrations, anything ascertained by material intelligence, anything experienced by the material senses or concocted within the material mind is but an effect of the modes of material nature, and therefore has nothing to do with the real nature of the Supreme Personality of God. So, this is the thing, this is the situation. We cannot see Golokdham, we cannot see anything first. We are seeing our family. If you are seeing Golokdham, na, you can do anything. You can do anything. Like Prabhupada, he went to America, he changed the whole world. You can do that. But why is it not happening? But that means we are not seeing. We are not there. Sarvottam apna ke hina kori mane. You know, the topmost devotee will always consider himself to be bottommost. He will never say that I'm seeing. The person who's seeing Golokdham, he will never say he's seeing Golokdham. That is the proof. The person who doesn't see, he will say I'm seeing. The person who is actually seeing, he's saying, He Radhe, He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite, He Nanda Suno Kutaha. Shri Govardhana Kalpapada Patale Kalindi Vane Kutaha. Where are you? The Goswamis are crying, where are you, Radha? Where are you, Krishna? Are you in the are you on the Govardhan hill? Are you on the bank of the Yamuna? They're crying. Separation. That means they're actually seeing Krishna. A person who's always like that, that means he's always seeing Krishna. This is explained by Radharani. What is that? Um, hmm. uh, Sangama viraha vikalpe varamiha viraho nasangamantasya ekah eva sa eva sange tribhuvanam apitanmayam virahe. Separation from Krishna is better than meeting him. When I meet Krishna, when I meet him, there is only one Krishna in front of me. But when I am separated from him, the three worlds become filled with Krishnas. I want Krishna everywhere. I don't want one Krishna. I want millions of Krishnas everywhere. So separation is better than meeting him. So He Radhe Vraja Devike Chalalite, He Nanda Suno Kutaha. Kutaha means where? Where are you? That means they are fully in crying and separation means they are actually seeing Krishna better than even seeing Krishna. So this is a transcendental sign. So it is not to be made into a cheap affair. We are not Sahajiyas. We respect the level at which Krishna can be seen, and we will never imitate that. We should have respect for that stage. We should not make it cheap. Oh, I saw Krishna last night. Well, if you saw Krishna, then why are you still here, man? Why, what are you doing in this material world then? So, there are symptoms, you see. Arjuna asked two times in the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter 54th verse and 14th chapter 21st verse. Arjuna asked the question to Krishna, Krishna, what are the symptoms of a person who is actually Krishna conscious? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he speak? How does he lie down? What does he do? First thing Prabhupada said in the purport, first thing is he speaks only about Krishna. He's not materialistic, nothing. He's just Krishna. So, and a person who sees Krishna always. He sees Krishna always. Santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Not that he sees and then sometime does not see, and again he sees, again so does not. Always he sees. So don't. It's definitely your imagining. So you chant more, the imagination will go. Prabhupada said you hear the vibration. Hear the vibration what you're chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, and beg the Lord to give you service. That's what chanting is. Okay, so what else? Read the original. ISKCON Gita is manipulated. You are manipulated. Okay. Mm. Yes, Prabhuji, I've been reading every day for 4 to 5 years. Still learn everything every time. Yeah. So keep on reading Prabhupada's books. That is more important than anything. What is that? How did that one devotee dream about the Chaitanya Vigraha in the forest and it appeared there? I don't know which one you're talking about. Anyway, it's getting late for me as well. जय श्री भगवद गीता श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण थैंक यू वेरी मच nice to be back on the live streams again I think after a 2 or 3 months hiatus so we'll continue more of course there's Janmashtami coming up so this Saturday may not be a class but next week again we will revive all right so thank you very much Hare Krishna